it's that fun time of year where we set up our salmon tank, and so this is the basic setup here. You can have a 10-gallon tank. This component I bring to you after it's set up. This is the chiller, and I'll talk about that in a minute. This is our, development kit. It's always fun to have that in front of the tank so the kids can always take a look at what's happening. I like to keep a water pitcher here just in case I need to quickly scoop some of the water out and change it out for any reason. Down here I have my water is ready to go. I checked the pH already. It is at 7.0, which is perfect. That's our drinking water. That's our pH, so that's what we need for our tank. We will be installing this filtration system. It's a waterfall type. It has a nice sound. It's actually rather soothing, and it's an upgrade from what we used to do. So this is a terrific component. We also have a bucket here. It's always good to wash all your components ahead of time, make sure they're fresh. This is the part that will attach the chiller to the tank and so this will take water from the tank, put it through the chiller, and then there's an output that will go back into the tank, and it's always keeping it at just the right temperature, which keeps you from having to do the old ice things that you might remember if you've been doing this for a long time. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have my freshly rinsed gravel here. I made sure that nothing at all is coming through, no cloudiness if it's brand new gravel, or yucky yuck from last year. Hopefully you already rinsed that out if you did it last year. And I did, and then I let it set out on the towel dry. Then I re-rinsed it though, and it's all ready to go. Gravel isn't totally necessary in this process, but it just makes the tank look more aesthetically pleasing. It gives the eggs someplace to be so they don't just float around with all the different circulation that's happening. I like them to be even though as soon as I put the water in, it'll make a big dip and I'll have to reach in and do that again. That's okay. So next thing I'm going to do is set my waterfall filter in. I like to put it at this side so that it's away from the chiller, and I'll have that other filter over here, the recirculation filter. So this here, it has an adjustment up here, and so once we get it going, I'll adjust the flow there. The other important thing is these filters need to be rinsed, and so even if it's brand new, you rinse that out so it is clear. Everything needs to be nice and clean, no soapy residue or anything like that. That'll kill the fish. Also, before I turn this on, I'll be filling it with water so that it will start pumping right away and it won't have a malfunction. That's super important. Yeah, so that's that. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure this is wet. I'm going to put my thermometer in so that it's a little away from the chiller. It isn't doing that. But it'll give me a constant, I need to know what it is every day so that I can keep track of the temperature units. And right now, I'm looking at it and it's reading, the room temperature, which is about 65 in my space right now. And so I'll be checking that every day. And if you were doing this in, your classroom, you would be doing that as well. The other piece is this little tiny cover. This doesn't really secure on tightly, and so just, don't force it. It's really designed more just to keep the dust out there. And then that little adjuster is up there if we need it. I am going to take it back off though so that I remember to put the water in. So now my tank's all ready to go, and that's all there is to it. It'll, I'm going to put the water in now, and then I will keep filming while I hook up the chiller, just so if you, for some reason, are showing this crazy video with my head cut off half the time, to your students, they can see how the chiller will be set up as well. I did find a cover. I don't usually give out covers, but I am going to use a cover, and I will look into getting this for you all. We don't really need to be able to open it except for to, check the pH, etc. but this will again keep the dust out since we don't use the insulation anymore now that we have the chillers and we don't do the ice bottle method. So we're ready for water. This has been sitting out. We keep the water out for a couple days actually, keep it open, and that way I don't have to worry about using products like this. I do give this out to you because sometimes you're just in a rush and you have to set it up really quickly, but I recommend having your tank set up a week ahead of time so that if there are any problems at all, like a leaky tank, a malfunctioning anything, it'll be ready to go. And the other thing is, you need to have time to come into all your buildings and hook up your chillers. So my team and I do that, and so we ask you to have this ready. I'll always email you and let you know when you need to have it open. This year is virtual, of course, so this is my home setup. Looks a little different, but the setup for the tank is always the same no matter where you are. So this is gets the chlorine out. That's not good for our fish. I already tested this and it does have a pH of 7.0. With your kits, you'll also get this pH kit. You don't get a new one every year, so just keep your eye on the dates, but this is something you use literally every day. And then later on, you'll need this ammonia kit. This helps you test the water for ammonias that happen when the eggs are emerging, like the little guys are emerging from their egg casings. So those are a couple things. And then this little tiny net helps you get any of, when you're trying to get any of the ones that maybe don't make it, and capturing them at the end. So those are your items that you get, and I'm gonna go ahead and start putting some water in. When you're putting your water in, it's super important, like at this point right now, if you notice it's starting to cloud up, stop and rinse your gravel. You need to not have cloudy water. You'll notice that this is going in nice and clear, and that's a good thing. I'll put my filter out, put it in again. And also at this point, double check that your thermometer is not floating away. We try to keep our hands and arms out of the water as much as possible, but there are times when you need to be in there. So that's that. I'm gonna pause for just a moment to go get the rest of my stuff and make a little noise. I'll be right back.